Just walk in, she whispered to herself. The worst they can say is no. At 38, May wasn't the typical beginner you'd expect to see at a martial arts gym. Most new students were either college kids looking for a workout or parents bringing their children for after-school activities. May was neither. She was an accountant, a mother of a teenage daughter, and as of 2 years ago, newly divorced. She pulled at her old gray sweatpants and adjusted her faded t-shirt from a charity run she'd done 5 years earlier. Not exactly workout clothes, but they would have to do. Her budget didn't allow for fancy gym gear right now. With one final deep breath, she pushed open the door. A bell jingled, and several heads turned to look at her. May felt heat rise to her cheeks but kept walking toward the front desk. "Can I help you?" asked a young woman with a high ponytail and a bright smile. "I called earlier about trying a beginner's class." May's voice came out higher than she intended. "Oh, right. You must be May. I'm Tina. We spoke on the phone." The woman's smile widened. "Class starts in 15 minutes. You can change in the locker room over there if you need to." May nodded and clutched her small gym bag tighter. "These clothes are okay for today, right?" Tina looked her up and down. "Sure, for your first class. But if you stick with it, you'll want to get a proper GI. That's the uniform." "Right, of course." May nodded, though the thought of spending money on a uniform she might only wear once made her stomach tight. Her ex-husband's voice echoed in her head. "Another hobby you'll quit after a week?" She pushed the thought away and walked toward the mats where a few early arrivals were already warming up. A group of 3 men in their 20s were stretching in the corner. As May sat down on a bench to remove her shoes, she couldn't help overhearing their conversation. "Check out the new blood," one of them said, nodding in her direction while keeping his voice just loud enough for her to hear. "Bet she doesn't last a week," another replied with a smirk. "Probably read some article about women's self-defense and thought this would be like a yoga class." The third guy, taller than the others with a blue belt tied around his waist, glanced at her and shrugged. "At least Coach Tommy will have someone new to demonstrate moves on." May focused on untying her shoelaces, pretending she hadn't heard them. Their words stung, but they weren't saying anything she hadn't already told herself. What was she doing? Here, at her age, with no athletic background to speak of, but the memory of feeling helpless, during the divorce, during that scary moment in the parking garage last month when a man had followed her too closely for comfort, strengthened her resolve. More students began filing in, mostly men with a few women sprinkled among them. Most wore white uniforms with different colored belts, though a few wore just shorts and rash guards. May felt increasingly out of place in her baggy sweats. A stocky man with salt and pepper hair and a black belt entered the mat area, and everyone immediately straightened up. "This must be Coach Tommy. Line up," he called, and everyone scrambled to form rows, seemingly arranged by belt color. May stood awkwardly at the edge, not sure where to go. The coach noticed her immediately. "New student?" he asked. May nodded, feeling all eyes on her. "Name?" "May Lin." "Any previous martial arts experience, May?" She shook her head, though this wasn't entirely true. 15 years ago, before marriage and motherhood had consumed her life, she had been May, the Dragon Lin, a collegiate wrestling champion who had trained briefly in submission grappling, but a knee injury and an unexpected pregnancy had forced her to put her athletic pursuits on hold. For years, her trophies and medals had gathered dust in a box in her garage while she focused on raising her daughter and building her career. But no one here needed to know that. That part of her life was over. She was starting fresh, starting from zero. "Welcome to River City Jiu-Jitsu. Stand at the back row for now," Tommy said, pointing to a spot at the end of the line. The warm-up began, and May immediately regretted her long absence from any kind of physical activity. Simple jumping jacks left her winded. Forward rolls made her dizzy. By the time they finished the warm-up, she was red-faced and sweating profusely, while everyone else seemed barely affected. "All right, partner up for drilling," Tommy announced. "We're working on guard passes today." Everyone quickly paired off, leaving May standing alone. The coach noticed and waved over a young woman with a purple belt. "Zoe, work with our newcomer today. Show her the basics first." Zoe nodded and beckoned May to an open space on the mat. First time, huh? Zoe asked, not unkindly. May nodded, still trying to catch her breath. Don't worry about those guys, Zoe said, tilting her head toward the group of men who had been talking about May earlier. They're all talk. Been training for years and still can't escape a basic mount. This made May smile a little. I'm going to show you some fundamental positions, Zoe explained. Jiu-Jitsu is all about leverage, not strength. That's why it works so well for women. For the next hour, Zoe patiently showed May how to shrimp, bridge, and maintain proper posture in someone's guard. To May's surprise, some of it felt familiar, like her body remembered things her mind had forgotten. The wrestling stance, the hip movements, the weight distribution. It was like riding a bicycle after years away. Not perfect, but not entirely foreign either. Across the gym, the blue-belted guy who had commented about her earlier was demonstrating a move to his friends, occasionally glancing in her direction with a smirk. His name, May learned from Zoe, was Alex. Don't mind him, Zoe said, noticing May's glance. He's got a chip on his shoulder because he's been stuck at blue belt for 3 years. As the class progressed, May found herself enjoying the challenge despite the ache in her muscles and the occasional confused look from other students. When Tommy demonstrated a simple guard pass, May found herself nodding along, understanding the mechanics of the move before he even finished explaining it. You sure you've never done this before? Zoe asked after May executed a decent technical stand-up. May hesitated. I did some wrestling in college, she admitted. But that was a lifetime ago. Zoe raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. Near the end of class, Tommy gathered everyone in a circle. Last 15 minutes, light rolling. Remember, this is practice, not the world championships. Tap early, tap often. May looked questioningly at Zoe. Rolling means sparring, Zoe explained. But you probably shouldn't today, it's your first class, Tommy overheard. Actually, I think it's good for newcomers to experience what real jiu-jitsu feels like. May, you can roll with me first, then with Zoe. May's stomach flipped, but she nodded. As she and Tommy took positions on the mat, she noticed Alex and his friends watching with amused expressions. Just relax and remember what you learned today, Tommy said quietly. Tap whenever you need to. No shame in it. They slapped hands and began. Tommy moved slowly, clearly going light to give May a chance to react. He easily swept her and established side control, but May surprised herself by remembering to frame against his neck and create space with her elbow, something Zoe had shown her. Good, Tommy murmured, increasing the pressure slightly. May felt her old instincts flickering to life. When Tommy shifted to mount, she bridged and shrimped just as she had done countless times on wrestling mats years ago. It wasn't enough to escape. Tommy was too skilled, but it was enough to make him pause. Nice movement, he said, genuine surprise in his voice. After a few more exchanges, with May defending better than anyone expected but ultimately getting caught in a gentle armbar, Tommy helped her up. Your wrestling background helps, he said with a knowing smile. But jiu-jitsu has some different principles you'll need to adapt to. May blinked, surprised he had picked up on her background so quickly. It really was a long time ago, she said softly. Some things the body doesn't forget, he replied. You have good instincts. Keep coming back. As May gathered her things after class, her muscles screaming in protest at movements they hadn't made in years, she overheard Alex talking to his friends. Beginner's luck, he was saying. She won't last a month. Zoe appeared at May's side. See you Wednesday? She asked. May looked around the gym, at Alex's dismissive glance, at Tommy's encouraging nod, at the blue mats that had once been the center of her world in another lifetime. Something long dormant stirred inside her. Yes, she said with more certainty than she'd felt about anything in years. I'll be here. Today, May arrived early. She wanted to practice the techniques she'd learned last class before everyone else showed up. Now, dressed in a plain white gi she'd found on sale online, she looked more the part of a jiu-jitsu student. The uniform was still stiff with newness, unlike the soft, worn GIs of the regular students. As she walked toward the mats, she spotted Coach Tommy in his office. He waved her over. How's it going, May? Sticking with it, I see. She nodded, adjusting the white belt around her waist. I'm trying, it's harder than I remembered. Tommy raised an eyebrow. Then you remembered? May felt her cheeks warm. She hadn't meant to say that out loud. I mean than I expected, she corrected quickly. Tommy leaned back in his chair, studying her face. You know, you move differently than most beginners. You have instincts, good ones. May looked down at her hands. I told you I wrestled a bit in college. A bit? Tommy smiled knowingly. I looked you up, you know. May the Dragon Lin, 3-time collegiate champion. You were headed for the national team before you disappeared from the competition scene. May's head snapped up. You Googled me? I Google all my students, Tommy said with a shrug. Helps me understand who I'm teaching. May didn't know whether to feel exposed or relieved. Part of her had wanted to keep her past hidden to start fresh without expectations, but another part had been aching to be recognized, to acknowledge that the fierce competitor she once was still existed somewhere inside her. That was a different life, she said softly. Before my daughter, before my marriage, before the injury. Tommy nodded. Why come back now? And why not tell anyone? May sighed, gathering her thoughts. My ex-husband used to say I was living in the past whenever I talked about competing. After a while, I stopped talking about it. Then I stopped thinking about it. She twisted her belt end between her fingers. After the divorce, I felt lost, weak. I wanted to find something that made me feel strong again. And you didn't tell anyone here because I'm not that person anymore, May said. I'm out of shape. My knee still bothers me sometimes. I didn't want special treatment or high expectations, I just wanted to start over. Tommy nodded slowly. Fair enough. Your secret's safe with me. But don't sell yourself short, May. That fighter is still in there. May smiled gratefully. I should warm up before class. As she walked to the mats, she felt lighter somehow. Someone knew her truth now, and the sky hadn't fallen. The gym began filling with the usual evening crowd. Zoe arrived and waved at May. They had become friendly over the past 2 weeks, with Zoe often staying after class to help May with techniques. Alex and his 2 friends sauntered in last as usual. May tried to avoid eye contact. Despite her consistent attendance, Alex's attitude toward her hadn't improved. If anything, his comments had become more pointed as he noticed her picking up techniques quickly. Line up, Tommy called, and everyone took their places on the mat. After the warm-up, Tommy announced they would be working on escapes from side control. Pair up with someone close to your size. Before May could look for Zoe, Alex stepped in front of her. Want to drill together? He asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. May hesitated. She'd successfully avoided working directly with Alex. Until now. Sure, she finally said, reminding herself that she would need to practice with different partners eventually. They found an open space on the mat. Alex immediately took the dominant side control position. I'll go first, he said, not really asking. May nodded and lay back, allowing him to settle his weight across her chest. It was immediately clear that Alex was using more pressure than necessary for a drilling partner, especially a beginner. The escape is simple, he said, voice dripping with condescension. Just bridge and shrimp away, if you can. The weight he put on her sternum made it hard to breathe, let alone execute the technique properly. This wasn't drilling, it was ego. May tried the escape anyway, bridging her hips and attempting to create space. Alex easily shut it down, shifting his weight to keep her pinned. Not like that, he said with mock helpfulness. You're doing it wrong. May gritted her teeth and tried again and again. Each time, Alex adjusted to block her, using strength rather than technique to keep her trapped. After 5 frustrating minutes, Tommy called for partners to switch positions. Alex rolled off with a satisfied smirk. Your turn to try the position, he said. May took a deep breath, centering herself. As she moved to take side control, she remembered how she used to position herself in wrestling. Low center of gravity, weight distributed through points of control rather than brute force. She settled across Alex's chest, careful to maintain proper technique. Alex immediately tried to bridge explosively, clearly expecting to easily dislodge her. He couldn't. Despite the size difference, May's positioning was technically perfect. She moved with his escape attempts, staying just ahead of them, maintaining control without using strength. Confusion flashed across Alex's face, followed quickly by frustration. He tried again, using more force. Again, May adjusted perfectly, never giving him the space he needed. "Relax," she said quietly. "It's just drilling. Focus on the technique, not power." Alex's face reddened. "I know how to drill," he snapped. From across the room, Tommy called out, "Looking good, May. Excellent base." Alex's jaw tightened at the praise directed at her. When Tommy finally called for everyone to rotate partners, May caught the look of grudging reassessment in Alex's eyes. She hadn't just survived drilling with him, she'd quietly schooled him. For the rest of class, May noticed Alex watching her more carefully as she worked with other partners. The dismissive smirk was gone, replaced by something closer to suspicion. After class, as May was gathering her things, Zoe bounced over. "What did you do to Alex? He looks like someone stole his favorite toy." May shrugged. "Nothing. We just drilled together." "Uh-huh," Zoe said, unconvinced. "Well, whatever it was overdue. He's been a jerk to every new woman who walks through that door." As they talked, Tommy approached with a visitor. A tall, muscular man with graying temples and a black belt. "May, I want you to meet someone. This is Ray Mendoza. He's an old friend and a Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's visiting for a few weeks and will be helping teach some classes." Ray extended his hand with a warm smile. "Nice to meet you, May." As they shook hands, May noticed Ray studying her with interest. "Tommy tells me you're new to Jiu-Jitsu but have a wrestling background." May shot Tommy a look. So much for keeping her secret. "It was a long time ago," she said. "Wrestlers' instincts never really go away," Ray said. "I started in wrestling too. It gives you a different perspective on grappling." Something in his tone made May think he knew exactly who she was, but he didn't press further. "We're having an open mat session on Saturday," Tommy interjected. "Ray will be there to give pointers. You should come, May." May hesitated. Open mat meant free sparring, no structured class, just rolling with whoever was there. The thought made her nervous. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," she said. "You're more ready than you think," Tommy replied. On her drive to pick up Lily, May couldn't stop thinking about the invitation. Part of her wanted to test herself, to see how much of her old abilities remained. Another part was terrified of being exposed, not just as a former wrestler, but as someone who might not live up to her past. When she arrived at the school, Lily was waiting on the steps, nose buried in a book as usual. "How was debate club?" May asked as her daughter climbed into the car. "Good. We're preparing for a tournament next month." Lily looked up, studying her mother's face. "You look different." "Different how?" Lily tilted her head. "I don't know. Less tired, more alive." May smiled, surprised by her daughter's observation. "I had a good class today." "That martial arts thing you're doing?" Lily asked. "The one Grandma says is for thugs?" May laughed. "Your grandmother thinks anything more strenuous than Tai Chi is for thugs. Are you going to compete or something?" The question caught May off guard. "No, honey. I'm too old for competition." "Mom, you're 38, not 80. Lily rolled, her eyes in that perfect teenage way. "My history teacher is 43 and she runs marathons." May drove in silence for a moment, considering her daughter's words. Was she using age as an excuse? A shield against trying and possibly failing? "There's an open practice on Saturday," May said finally. "My coach thinks I should go." "So go," Lily said simply, already back to her book. That night, as May stretched her sore muscles before bed, she found herself staring at the box she'd pulled from the back of her closet. Inside were her old medals, tournament photos, and newspaper clippings, mementos from her wrestling days. One photo in particular caught her eye. Herself at 22, standing on a podium with a gold medal, face flushed with triumph. She barely recognized that confident young woman with fire in her eyes. May touched the image gently. "Where did you go?" she whispered. She placed the photo on her nightstand instead of returning it to the box. A reminder of who she had been, who she might become again. That night she texted Tommy. "I'll be there Saturday." "Nervous?" Lily asked, leaning against the doorframe. May smiled weakly. "Is it that obvious?" "You've checked your bag like 3 times and you're breathing funny." Lily walked over and sat on the bed. "Remember when I had my first debate tournament and couldn't eat breakfast? You told me being nervous just means I care about doing well. M.A. Laughed softly. "Using my own wisdom against me now? Someone has to." Lily picked up the photograph May had placed on her nightstand, the one of her younger self with the gold medal. "Was this from when you were a wrestler?" May nodded, sitting beside her daughter. "My last big tournament before my injury. Before I met your father." Lily studied the photo carefully. "You look happy. And scary." "Scary?" "Like intense. Like nobody better get in your way." Lily handed the photo back. "I've never seen you look like that." The comment stung in a way May hadn't expected. Had she lost that fire completely? Had her daughter never seen that side of her? "I was different then," May said. "Different how?" May thought for a moment. "More confident. More selfish, maybe." "Is selfish always bad?" Lily asked with surprising insight. "No," May admitted. "Sometimes it's necessary. I just got used to putting everything else first. You, the job, the marriage. Even after the divorce, I never really put myself first again." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "Well, today you get to be selfish. Go be scary, Matt lady." May hugged her daughter, feeling a surge of love and gratitude for this wise young person she was raising. "I'll try. No promises, though. Just don't get hurt. I'm not driving you to the hospital. I don't have my license yet." "Your concern is touching," May said dryly. The parking lot at River City Jiu-Jitsu was fuller than usual when May arrived. Saturday open mats tended to draw people from other gyms in the area, creating a more diverse training environment. As she walked in, she immediately noticed the increased energy. More people, more conversations, more intensity. Zoe spotted her from across the room and waved her over. "You came. I wasn't sure you would." "Neither was I," May admitted. "Don't worry. Open mat is fun. No pressure. Just roll with whoever you want, ask questions, try stuff." Zoe pointed to different areas of the gym. "Some people drill specific moves, others just spar. It's very laid back." Laid back wasn't exactly the word May would have chosen. She spotted Alex and his friends in one corner, already rolling aggressively. In another area, Tommy and Ray were demonstrating something to a small group of attentive students. "Have you rolled with anyone besides me and Coach Tommy?" Zoe asked. May shook her head. "Just you two so far. Want to start with me today? Easy warm-up round?" May nodded gratefully. After changing into her gi, May joined Zoe on an open section of mat. They stretched together, and May felt her anxiety begin to ease slightly as her muscles warmed up. "Ready?" Zoe asked after a few minutes. They slapped hands and began. Rolling with Zoe was comfortable now, challenging but not threatening. Zoe was technically superior and could submit May whenever she wanted, but she always left openings for May to work, turning their roles into teaching opportunities rather than contests. Today, however, May felt different, more focused, more present in her body. When Zoe attempted a sweep, May instinctively based out, preventing it in a way she hadn't been able to before. When Zoe tried to pass her guard, May's legs moved to block her path without conscious thought. Zoe raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by the resistance. Someone's been practicing. They continued rolling, and while Zoe still controlled most of the action, May found herself defending more effectively, even creating a few offensive opportunities of her own. When Zoe finally caught her in an armbar, May tapped with a smile, feeling good about the exchange. Nice work, Zoe said as they reset. You're picking this up fast. Before May could respond, a voice interrupted them. Mind if I jump in? Ray Mendoza stood at the edge of their mat area, smiling politely. Of course, Zoe said, standing up. She's all yours. As Ray took Zoe's place, May felt a fresh wave of nervousness. Rolling with a visiting black belt wasn't what she'd planned for her first open mat. Tommy speaks highly of you, Ray said as they faced each other. Says you have natural talent. He's being kind, May replied, trying to sound modest rather than terrified. Ray smiled. Let's see. I'll let you start on top. They slapped hands and Ray lay back, inviting May to establish a position. She hesitated, then moved into his guard cautiously. What followed was unlike any role she'd had before. Ray moved with an efficiency that seemed almost lazy, yet every motion had purpose. When May tried to pass his guard, he redirected her energy, so subtly she ended up exactly where he wanted her. When she defended, he found openings she didn't know existed. It was like playing chess with a grandmaster. May found herself submitted 3 times in 5 minutes, each time with techniques so smooth she barely understood what had happened. Yet strangely, she didn't feel discouraged. If anything, she felt inspired. This was Jiu-Jitsu at its highest level. Not strength against strength, but mind against mind, puzzle against puzzle. After the 3rd tap, Ray helped her up. You have good instincts, he said. But you're fighting. Yourself. What do you mean? You're holding back, thinking too much. He tapped his temple. I can see the wrestler in you wanting to explode, to be aggressive, but you're keeping her caged. You don't trust her anymore. May was startled by the accuracy of his assessment. The injury? He asked gently. She nodded. My knee. And it's been so long. The body remembers, Ray said. Trust it. They rolled again, and this time May tried to quiet the doubting voice in her head. When her instinct said bridge, she bridged fully. When it said scramble, she scrambled without hesitation. She still ended up submitted, but the quality of the exchange was entirely different, more dynamic, more honest. Ray nodded approvingly as they reset again. Much better. Now you're actually giving me something to work with. By their 4th roll, a small crowd had gathered to watch. May was too focused to notice or care. She was finding her rhythm now, remembering the joy of pure physical problem-solving. Ray still controlled the action, but May was asking better questions with her movement, forcing him to give more thoughtful answers. When they finally stopped, both slightly out of breath, May realized Tommy was standing nearby, watching with a satisfied expression. Told you she was special, he said to Ray. Ray nodded. You did. You weren't wrong. As May stood to take a water break, she noticed Alex and his friends had been among those watching. Their expressions were hard to read. Surprise mixed with something else. Reassessment, perhaps. Tommy pulled her aside. How does it feel to be back on the mat for real? Humbling, May admitted. Ray's incredible. He is. But so were you once. Tommy handed her a water bottle. Still could be. May took a long drink, avoiding his gaze. I'm just here to learn, Tommy. Not to compete. Who said anything about competing? Tommy's eyes twinkled. Though now that you mention it, there is a local tournament next month. Masters division, just putting it out there. May nearly choked on her water. You can't be serious. Deadly serious. Ray thinks you'd do well with a few weeks of focused training. I'm not ready for that. Maybe not today, Tommy conceded. But you will be. Think about it. Before May could argue further, Alex approached them. His usual cockiness was subdued. Hey, he said to May, his tone uncharacteristically respectful. If you're not too tired, would you want to roll? May exchanged a surprised glance with Tommy, who shrugged as if to say, your call. Part of her wanted to refuse. Alex had been nothing but dismissive of her since day one. But another part, the competitor who was slowly waking up inside her, was curious. How would she fare against someone who had underestimated her for so long? Sure, she said finally. Why not? As they found an open space on the mat, May noticed Ray watching with interest. She tried to recall everything she'd learned over the past few weeks, along with the muscle memories that had begun to resurface from her wrestling days. They slapped hands, and Alex immediately tried to establish his dominance with a strong grip. Fight. May stayed calm, remembering Ray's advice to trust her instincts. The roll began tentatively, each testing the other's reactions, but as they settled into a rhythm, something clicked for May. The mat became familiar territory again, a puzzle she knew how to solve. When Alex attempted an aggressive guard pass, May caught him in a transition, using his momentum to sweep him to his back. The surprise on his face was evident as she established side control. From there, the roll took on a different quality. Alex fought harder, clearly unwilling to be bested by someone he'd dismissed as a beginner. But May was finding her flow now, moving between positions with a fluidity that belied her time away from the sport. She didn't submit him. He was still technically more skilled in Jiu-Jitsu, but she controlled the pace and position for much of their exchange, earning grudging respect with each transition. When they finally separated, both breathing hard, Alex nodded to her. "You've been holding out on us." It wasn't an apology, but it was an acknowledgement. For now, that was enough. As May gathered her things to leave later that day, her body pleasantly exhausted, Ray approached her one last time. "You know, I looked you up after Tommy mentioned your wrestling background," he said. "Three-time collegiate. Champion is no small achievement," May sighed. "That feels like another lifetime." "It doesn't have to be," Ray replied. "The tournament Tommy mentioned. It would be a good way to close the circle, to make peace with the competitor you used to be." May shouldered her bag. "I'll think about it." As she walked to her car, she realized she actually would think about it, not dismiss it outright as she would have 2 weeks ago. Something was changing inside her, a reawakening of a part of herself she'd long ago set aside. She checked her phone and found a text from Lily. "Did you go full scary mat, lady?" And people at the gym had started treating her differently. The dismissive glances had turned to respectful nods. Even Alex had stopped making snide comments, instead occasionally asking her about her wrestling background between rounds. 1 month until the tournament, Tommy reminded her after class one evening. "You still thinking about it?" May toweled sweat from her face. "I'm still not sure, Tommy. It's a big step." "Big steps are what life's all about," he replied with his typical coach wisdom. "Ray's coming back next week for that seminar. He asked if you'd made a decision." The idea that Ray Mendoza, a respected black belt who trained champions, was interested in her progress still felt surreal to May. "Tell him I'm working on it," she said. At home that night, May found Lily sitting at the kitchen table, textbooks spread around her. "How was class?" Lily asked without looking up from her homework. "Good. Intense." May opened the refrigerator, searching for dinner ingredients. "Coach keeps asking about that tournament." Now Lily looked up. "The one next month? Are you going to do it?" May shrugged. "I don't know. It feels silly at my age." Lily rolled her eyes. "Mom, stop with the 'at my age' thing. It's getting old. No pun intended." "Very funny." May started chopping vegetables. "It's not just age. It's been 15 years since I competed in anything. What if I freeze up? What if I embarrass myself? What if you win?" Lily countered. "What if you're amazing and you've been selling yourself short this whole time?" May paused, knife hovering over the cutting board. When had her daughter become so wise? "Besides," Lily continued, "you seem happier since you started this jiu-jitsu thing. More, I don't know. More like the person in that old photo." The observation hit May like a gentle wave, not knocking her over, but definitely moving her. She had been feeling more like her younger self lately, more confident, more present in her body, more willing to take up space in the world. "I'll think about it," she said, which seemed to be her standard response these days. "You always say that," Lily noted. Maybe try doing instead of thinking for once. The following Saturday, Ray Mendoza returned to River City Jiu-Jitsu for a special seminar. The gym was packed with students from various schools, all eager to learn from the visiting black belt. May arrived early, securing a spot near the front. As Ray demonstrated the day's techniques, a series of guard passes and their counters, May found herself absorbing the movements with surprising ease. The principles felt natural to her, now an extension of the body awareness she'd developed through wrestling years ago. During the drilling portion, Ray made his way around the room, offering corrections and advice. When he reached May and her partner, Zoe, as usual, he stopped to watch for a moment. "Your base is solid," he commented as May executed the pass, "but you're still holding back a little on the final position. Commit fully to the crossface here." He adjusted her arm position slightly. "There. Feel the difference?" May nodded. The small adjustment made the position significantly more secure. "Are you ready to tell me you're doing the tournament?" Ray asked with a knowing smile. "I haven't decided," May replied, though her voice lacked conviction. Ray shook his head. "The May Lin I researched wouldn't have hesitated. 3-time champion, known for taking risks on the mat." "That was a lifetime ago," May said softly. "No," Ray corrected her. "That was you. It's still you, just with more wisdom now." After the seminar, as people were gathering their things, Tommy called for everyone's attention. "Quick announcement before you all head out. Next weekend is the Pacific Northwest Open right here in the city. Registration closes Monday. Several of our students are competing." Tommy's eyes found May in the crowd. "If you're on the fence about signing up, now's the time to decide." On the drive home, May found herself taking a detour past the sports arena where the tournament would be held. She parked across the street, looking at the building as memories washed over her. The nervous energy before a match, the focus that narrowed the world to just herself and her opponent, the sweet release of having given everything on the mat, win or lose. When was the last time she had felt so fully alive? Her phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Where are you?" "Dinner's getting cold." "I actually cooked." May smiled and texted back, "On my way." And I decided, I'm doing the tournament. As soon as she sent the message, a weight lifted from her shoulders. Decision made. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of intense training. Tommy created a special preparation plan for May, focusing on sharpening her techniques and building her cardio. Ray, who had extended his stay in the city, worked with her on specific strategies for her division. Masters Women's White Belt will have a range of skill levels, Ray explained. Some will be true beginners. Others might have experience in other martial arts like you. The key is to stick to what you know works. May absorbed everything like a sponge, staying late after classes to drill and refine movements. Even Alex offered to help, his initial antagonism completely replaced by a grudging respect. "Your takedowns are solid," he told her after a particularly grueling training session. "But your guard passing needs work. Let me show you something that might help." A week before the tournament, May's boss called her into his office. "You've been distracted lately," he said without preamble. "Is everything okay?" "I'm sorry," May replied, straightening in her chair. "I've got a lot going on outside work. I'll make sure it doesn't affect my performance." Her boss leaned back. "This is about that martial arts thing your daughter mentioned at the company picnic, isn't it? Some kind of competition?" May blinked in surprise. "She told you about that?" She seemed quite proud. "Said her mom was becoming a champion again." He smiled slightly. "I didn't know you had a competitive background." "It was a long time ago," May said automatically. "Well, I'm giving you next Friday off, paid leave." He held up a hand when she started to protest. "Consider it an investment in employee morale. Just bring back a medal or something for the break room." That evening at home, May confronted Lily. "You told Mr. Chen about the tournament?" Lily didn't look up from her phone. "Maybe. So what?" "So what? It's my private life, Lily." "Is it private, though?" Lily put her phone down. "You've been hiding who you are for as long as I can remember. You never told me about being a champion. I had to find out from old photos and trophies in boxes. I was different then, May said. No, you weren't, Lily insisted. You just stopped believing in yourself. After Dad left, you shrank even more. Like you thought being smaller would hurt less when bad things happened. The truth of her daughter's words stung. When did you get so smart about life? Lily shrugged. I watch a lot of TikTok therapy videos. Despite her nervousness, May laughed. Well, for what it's worth, I'm trying to be braver now. I know, Mom. That's why I told Mr. Chen so you couldn't back out. Tournament day arrived with perfect clarity. May woke before her alarm, her body humming with a familiar pre-competition energy she hadn't felt in 15 years. As she carefully packed her G-belt and water bottle, she heard Lily moving around in the kitchen. You're up early, May said, surprised to find her daughter making breakfast. Can't let you compete on an empty stomach, Lily replied, sliding a plate of eggs and toast across the counter. Protein for strength, carbs for energy, I Googled it. May felt a lump form in her throat. Thanks, kiddo. Don't get all emotional on me, Lily warned. Save that energy for smashing people. The tournament venue was buzzing with activity when they arrived. Everywhere May looked, people in GIs were warming up, stretching, or sitting with intense focus. The familiar sights and sounds, the coaches shouting instructions, the referees checking mats, the scorekeepers setting up tables, brought a rush of déjà vu. Tommy met them at the entrance, clipboard in hand. There you are, your division. Starts in an hour. 5 competitors, including you. 5. May's stomach tightened. That means if I win my first match, you go straight to the finals, Tommy confirmed. Let's get you checked in and warmed up. Zoe appeared, already in her. Hey, we're on the same mat block. I'll be cheering for you when I'm not competing. Even Alex and a few other students from the gym had shown up, forming an unexpected cheering section. Don't embarrass us out there, Alex said, but his tone was light, almost friendly. As May went through her warm-up routine, she spotted Ray talking with Tommy nearby. They both looked in, her direction, and nodded, clearly discussing her chances. The hour passed too quickly. Soon May was sitting beside the mat, watching the referee arrange brackets on his clipboard. Her first opponent would be a stocky woman with a stern expression and a G covered in competition patches. She's from Lion's Den Academy, Tommy whispered. Good pressure game but slow transitions. Use your speed. May nodded, trying to control her breathing. This was really happening. Mom, Lily called from the spectator area. Remember the photo? May knew exactly what her daughter meant. The gold medal photo, the one where she looked fierce and unstoppable. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to channel that younger version of herself. When the referee called her name, May stepped onto the mat feeling strangely calm. All the doubts and fears that had plagued her for weeks seemed to fade away, replaced by a singular focus. This mat, this moment, this opponent. As she bowed to her competitor, time seemed to slow down. 15 years fell away, and she was once again May the Dragon Lin, not because she was trying to reclaim her youth, but because that fighter had always been inside her, waiting for permission to reemerge. The referee raised his hand, and May settled into her stance, ready to write the next chapter of her story on the canvas of the mat. Fight, the referee called, and she did. This close, she could see the determination in Diane's eyes, but also the tension in her shoulders, the telltale sign of someone running on adrenaline rather than technique. May stayed calm, remembering Tommy's advice. Let her tire herself out. As they grappled for position, May found herself settling into a familiar rhythm. The noise of the crowd faded away. The doubts that had plagued her for weeks disappeared. There was only this moment, this puzzle to solve. When Diane overcommitted to a guard pass, May capitalized immediately. She caught her opponent in transition, sweeping her to her back and establishing side control in one fluid motion. The points appeared on the scoreboard, 2-0 for May. Good work, Tommy called from the sidelines. Now maintain position. May did, more than maintain. She methodically advanced her position, moving from side control to mount as Diane bucked and twisted beneath her. The scoreboard changed again. 5-0. With 2 minutes left in the match, May sensed her opportunity. As Diane bridged desperately to escape the mount, May flowed with the movement, transitioning smoothly to an armbar. Diane resisted briefly, then tapped as May applied pressure. The referee raised May's hand. "Winner by submission." Lily jumped, up and down at the edge of the mat area, giving her mother an enthusiastic thumbs up. May felt a rush of emotions, pride, relief, and a spark of competitive fire that had been dormant for too long. "One down," Tommy said as she stepped off the mat. "Finals are in 40 minutes. Who am I facing?" May asked, taking the water bottle he offered. Tommy pointed across the gym to another mat where a tall woman with short gray hair was also having her arm raised in victory. "That's Beth Wilson, former judo player. Been doing jiu-jitsu about 2 years." 2 years? May's confidence wavered slightly. "She has a lot more experience than me." "Experience isn't just about time on the mat," Ray interjected, appearing beside Tommy. "It's about intensity, focus, and how you use what you know. You were a champion once. That mindset doesn't disappear." May watched as Beth walked off her mat, moving with the confidence of someone accustomed to winning. Their eyes met briefly across the gym, and Beth gave a respectful nod. "She's strong," Ray continued. "But you're more technical. Use that." The 40 minutes passed too quickly. May tried to rest while also staying warm, watching other matches and trying not to overthink her upcoming final. Lily sat beside her, unusually quiet. "Nervous?" May asked her daughter. "Aren't you the one who should be nervous?" Lily replied. May considered the question. "Strangely, no, not anymore. Once I got on the mat, it all came back. Not just the movements, but the feeling. Like I belong there." Lily smiled. "That's how you look when you're competing. Like you finally know exactly where you're supposed to be." Before May could respond, the announcer called her name for the finals. She took a deep breath and stood. "Mom," Lily said, suddenly serious, "whatever happens, I'm really proud of you." The words gave May an unexpected boost of confidence as she approached the mat for the final match. She could see Tommy and Ray watching intently from the sidelines. Zoe was there too, still in her GI after competing in her own division. Even Alex and the other students from River City had gathered to watch. Beth was already on the mat, bouncing slightly on the balls of her feet. Up close, May could see the definition in her opponent's arms and shoulders, the result of serious training. "Ladies," the referee said, "you know the rules. 5-minute match. Bow to me, bow to each other, and wait for my signal." They bowed, and May caught a glimpse of respect in Beth's eyes. Not underestimation, not mockery, just one competitor acknowledging another. "Fight." Beth moved forward with the confidence of her judo background, immediately fighting for grip control. May felt the strength in her opponent's hands and knew this would be a very different match than her first. For the first minute, they engaged in a chess match on their feet, each looking for openings while defending against the other's attempts. Beth's judo was evident in her upright posture and powerful grip fighting. May stayed patient, remembering Ray's words about using her technical advantage. When Beth finally committed to a throw, May was ready. Instead of resisting, she used Beth's momentum and added her own direction, turning what would have been a clean judo throw into a scramble that favored her wrestling background. They hit the ground with May slightly advantaged, fighting to pass Beth's guard. Beth defended well, using her long legs to maintain distance. For 2 tense minutes, they battled for position, neither able to fully impose her game on the other. The scoreboard remained blank. 0-0. As they entered the 3rd minute, May began to feel the limits of her conditioning. The weeks of training had improved her cardio, but nothing simulated the intensity of competition. Beth, with her 2 years of consistent training, seemed less affected by the pace. "Breathe, May," Tommy called from the sidelines. "Remember your transitions." Beth capitalized on a momentary lapse in May's concentration, executing a beautiful sweep that put May on her back. The scoreboard changed, 2-0 for Beth. As Beth tried to establish side control, May felt a flash of panic. The match was slipping away. The doubt that had been her companion for years threatened to return. Then, through the crowd noise, she heard Lily's voice. "Come on, Mom. You've got this." Something shifted inside May. Not just determination, but a deeper realization that, win or lose, she had already conquered her biggest opponent. The voice that had told her for years that her time had passed, that she wasn't enough, that she should make herself small. With renewed focus, May created space where there seemed to be none, shrimping away from Beth's pressure and reclaiming her guard. She could see the surprise in Beth's eyes. This was not the easy control she had expected. With 2 minutes left, May decided to take a risk. Instead of playing safe, she attacked with a sweep attempt of her own. Beth defended well, but May chained her attack into a submission attempt, forcing Beth to defend on multiple fronts. The back-and-forth battle continued as the clock ticked down. With 45 seconds remaining, they were again on their feet after a reset. Beth was ahead 2-0, but May sensed her opponent's caution increasing as the end approached. "Push the pace," Ray called out. "Now's the time." May committed fully to her next attack, changing levels for a wrestling-style double-leg takedown. Beth sprawled to defend, but May had anticipated this, transitioning immediately to a single leg and finishing the takedown. The scoreboard changed, 2-2. With 15 seconds left, May fought to establish control from the top position, while Beth worked desperately to escape or reverse. The crowd grew louder as the final seconds ticked away. The buzzer sounded with May maintaining top position but unable to advance further. 2-2 on the scoreboard. "Advantage point decides," the referee announced, consulting with the judges. In Jiu-Jitsu, when the score is tied, the match is decided by advantage points, near submissions or dominant positions that didn't score full points. The tension was unbearable as the referee conferred with the scorekeepers. Finally, he returned to the center of the mat. "Winner by advantage point." May held her breath. "May Lin." The referee raised her hand and the River City team erupted in cheers. Lily was jumping up and down, screaming with excitement. Beth smiled graciously and offered a handshake after the bow. "Great match, your wrestling is excellent." "Your judo too," May replied, filled with respect for her opponent. As May stepped off the mat, she was engulfed by her supporters. Tommy clapped her on the back while Ray nodded with quiet satisfaction. Zoe hugged her enthusiastically. Even Alex offered his congratulations, any trace of his former dismissiveness completely gone. But it was Lily who pushed through the crowd to reach her first, wrapping her arms around her mother's waist. "You did it," Lily exclaimed. "You actually did it." "It was just one tournament," May said, though she couldn't stop smiling. "It wasn't just a tournament," Lily insisted. "It was you becoming you again." Later, at the awards ceremony, May stood on the top step of the podium to receive her gold medal. As the tournament official hung it around her neck, she caught sight of Ray and Tommy watching from the sidelines, both wearing expressions of pride. In that moment, looking out at the crowd with the weight of gold against her chest, May realized something important. The victory that mattered most wasn't the one on the scoreboard. It was the one she'd won against her own doubts, against the voice that had told her she was too old, too rusty, too ordinary to step back into the arena. The following Monday, May brought her medal to work as promised, placing it on her desk, rather than hiding it away. Her boss stopped by, offering congratulations and genuine interest in her achievement. That evening at River City Jiu-Jitsu, she noticed something different as she walked in for class. The whispers and glances sent her way weren't dismissive anymore. They were respectful, even admiring. "The champion returns." Tommy greeted her. "How does it feel?" "Good," May admitted. "Really good." "Ready to start training for the next one?" he asked. "There's a regional championship in 3 months. Higher level of competition." May thought about it for only a moment. "Sign me up." As she tied her white belt around her waist, now adorned with a single stripe Tommy had added after the tournament, May caught sight of her reflection in the gym's mirror. For a flicker of a moment, she saw both versions of herself superimposed. The young champion she had been and the woman she was now. each with their own kind of strength. A new student walked in, a woman about May's age looking nervous and out of place in borrowed workout clothes. May recognized that look of uncertainty, the same one she'd worn on her first day. "First class?" May asked, approaching her with a warm smile. The woman nodded. "I'm probably too old to start something like this." May laughed softly. "Let me tell you a story about that."